Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Get a Grip podcast. I'm Shane Bacon, joined by Andrew Putnam. This episode, as the entire season with Mr. Putnam, has been brought to you by the Pinehurst Resorts. As you see, I'm wearing the shirt from the 2024 U.S. Open. Awesome U.S. Open. Pinehurst in the rota for the coming years and decades. And it's one of the great places in our country to go out and play some golf. And for the first time in nearly 3 decades, Pinehurst opened its first original golf course when it opened Pinehurst number 10 in the spring of this year, designed by Tom Doak. Number 10 features dramatic elevation changes, natural sandy areas, and remnants of an early 20th century sand mining operation. Number 10 is awesome. Number 4 is amazing. Number 2, obviously, championship pedigree for years and years and years. If you haven't been to Pinehurst, you need to change that right now. Go there, go to the brewery, go play some golf, enjoy the town, and it is awesome. Plan your next golf trip today at pinehurst.com. Andrew, you've been traveling a lot. How's your life right now?
Doing pretty good. I've been over in Scotland, Reno. Now I'm in great state of Minnesota. So kind of
Scotland, Reno, Minnesota.
Scotland, Reno. Yeah, John here before that. So
what's the path from Scotland to Reno? Where'd you hit? Where'd you connect? I guess.
Actually, let's see. I only played 2 days in Scotland. I took the weekend off.
Okay.
And so
that was nice. That was nice of you.
Yeah, I flew back to Seattle to join my family to Tacoma. So it's actually not too bad. It goes Scotland to Ireland and then straight to right into SeaTac. So, it's actually not bad going back. You fly basically all during the daytime, and I left at 6 a.m. that morning, got in at 5 p.m. So you're just trying to stay up, that's the key. Like we talked about, stay up. And I was up, I think 24 hours straight that first day when I got home. And then, the sleep is always harder coming home. It takes about 3 or 4 or 5 days to adjust. So I think Thursday Reno was when I finally had a good full night's sleep.
Oh, I want to talk about the CUDA because I know it's the 5th major in professional golf and it's such a great event. But before we get to that, I just wanted to ask you a couple of thoughts on Xander because, I mean, we had an unbelievable major season. You think about the guys that have won the majors this year. World number 1 obviously wins the Masters, and then you've got this epic U.S. Open with Bryson, and of course Xander takes the PGA and the Open with final round 65s at both of them. You've played with Xander before. Do you remember when you played with him for the first time, or when you maybe met him or saw him on the golf course for the first time?
I mean, I think I played against him in college quite a bit, but
okay.
I know recently I was paired with him in the U.S. Open. In Boston a couple of years ago. So I've got to play with him in a major. And he's the real deal. I mean, I got to watch a little bit of the golf last week, not a ton of it just because I was out playing during kind of the main coverage, but seeing how he's changed his shot shape. He used to hit like a really hard draw, and I did see him hitting some nice little cuts, especially on that back nine with that wind straight off the left. It's almost easier, I think, as a player to ride the wind than it is to hold a shot into it. And so
just let that cut kind of go with the prevailing wind versus trying to hit some hard hook into it to keep it straight. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it seems like that's harder to do. It's easier just to let the ball kind of go with the wind, and it also goes further. So seeing Xander be able to do that, I mean, he had pretty much every shot in the bag, and now he, to add that to driving, I think is probably a big reason why he's had the success he has in the majors.
What was he like as a player in college? Because to me, outsider looking into that space, he wasn't Jordan Spieth. He wasn't Justin Thomas. He wasn't one of those can't miss dudes coming out of college that was going to play professional golf and win major championships. It feels like he's talked a lot about, getting into, I think it was Aaron Hills and, qualifying through and getting into that U.S. Open, being a big part of who he is today. Was he, when you played with him in college, was he a wow guy, or was he just another dude out there that you went, oh, guy can hit it pretty good, or he's got a good short game, or whatever the case may be?
Honestly, I mean, he actually is someone I don't really remember playing with a whole lot, and we played against their team quite a bit. We played against San Diego State, but I really don't remember seeing him a whole lot in college. There were some other players on his team that were a lot better than he was, so don't remember him that much, but he kind of came on the ranks. I remember first year Corn Ferry Tour. I remember him coming out there. I don't exactly remember what year it was, if I was playing well or not, but I remember seeing him play really well at Ohio State. I think it was like the playoff system on the Corn Ferry Tour, and he, to play that course well, you gotta be a big hitter, gotta have pretty much all the tools to be a good player on the PGA Tour, and that's kind of where he really kind of had us come out and get qualified for the PGA Tour, and he looked like a kid that had just a ton of confidence for not having a huge resume of really great college career. So ever since then, it seems like he's one of the top players. Been one of the top players.
There's a hot golf debate going right now, Andrew. It's Player of the Year debate between obviously what we saw from Scotty Scheffler and the 6 victories and the Masters and the Players, and what Xander's done with the major championships. I'm not going to ask you who the Player of the Year is. I think we'll leave that for more pundity people. But I want to ask you as a player, which year would you rather have? Would you rather have 6 wins, a Masters, $28+ million like Scotty, or would you take the 2 majors, and kind of basically ticking off half the career Grand Slam in a matter of, 6-7 weeks?
I mean, it'd be hard to not take what Scotty's been doing. I mean, he's the only player that people have been mentioning Tiger Woods kind of in the same category. Like, the way he's played, obviously not the last couple majors, he's, I guess, been a little bit off. I mean, he was in contention last week, but
off and finished 7th.
No, exactly.
Played terrible, top 10.
Yeah, I mean, for people to be saying like, "Hey, this is a Tiger-esque type season," I mean, no one's had a year like that in a long time. So I think it's hard to not go with what Scotty's been doing.
I just wonder sometimes golfers, guys that play for a living, guys like yourself, the way they think about what's important or what's, incredible or what stands off the page, right? I mean, listening to you guys talk about certain players and the way they hit golf shots or certain pitch shots. Like, I think about the shot. Did you see the 3-wood Scotty hit on Saturday on 17 at the Open into the fan? Did you see that shot anywhere? So, I mean, like into probably 15, 20, 25 mile an hour wind, par 3, tucked hole location. He hits kind of like I'll send it to you when we get offline, but like a bullet cut into the fan to about 3 feet.
Oh, you're talking about yes. Okay. With the 3-wood. Yeah. On that par 3. Yeah. Sorry.
And like that's one of those shots. As I saw him hit that, I went, man, like, not sure there's a ton of dudes on the planet that can hit that kind of golf shot. It's one of those, everybody playing with him is going to say nice shot. But yeah, like I'm interested to hear what players think about what's amazing in terms of a season or a career, because I think you nailed it. Winning 6 times, winning is very, very hard. You think about Billy Horschel. He's in the final group of an Open Championship. He's leading. He shoots 3 under par and he doesn't win, right? It's so hard to win. And I know that's something that everybody that plays on tour deals with at some point in the season or throughout their career. So to win 6 times and 2 of those be enormous events and then the other 4 be very big events, I'd say is extremely impressive. But we are going to just kind of look at the majors a little different now with LIV and the PGA Tour players kind of converging only 4 times a year, right? You've got to beat a lot of guys you don't have to beat, week to week on the PGA Tour. And it might stand out a little bit more to people now that that's the case.
That's true. But, as a player, like, it's a grind every week. And when you're winning 6 times, it's hard to have too much more fun than that in a season. I mean, having 6 celebrations, that's just like you're riding this crazy high, like every couple of weeks. And so from a player's perspective, that's hard to beat because your confidence is going to be sky high. Obviously winning a major, your confidence is going to be high for the rest of the season, I'm sure. I've never done it, so I couldn't tell you exactly how that feels, but winning 6 times, you're literally just going from high to high to high to high. And as a player, that's just, you're validating your game. Like, it's hard to beat that. I know people are valuing majors because you're playing against all the players in the world of golf right now, but I don't know. Winning 6 times is pretty tough to beat with one major in there too.
And a players, and they're all obviously the biggest events that he won. That's I guess the argument, if you will, for Scotty is he's not winning, like the lesser events. He's winning signature events and the biggest tournaments and things like that. Speaking of the Scotty 3-wood, this is a put you on the spot question. Is there a single golf shot that you've seen in your career that you consider, maybe it's a shot you've hit or a shot you've seen? Is there a shot that stands out as that's the best golf shot I've ever seen somebody hit? Because I feel like we all kind of have one in the back of our head. I think a lot about Bubba Watson, like the bunker shot he made. I think it was in China that one year. It was like not a very good lie. He had to make this bunker shot, I think, to win or to get in a playoff against Ricky, and he made it. You know, there's so many of those level shots that kind of stand out above some of the other ones. Is there a golf shot that stands out to you that you've seen over the years and you went, holy crap, that was unbelievable?
I mean, watching the Masters growing up, I think, you know, like Phil Mickelson hitting it in the pine straw on the par 5 hole, 13 or something.
That was 13.
What was it, 6 iron out of there through the trees?
Yeah.
I mean, with the tournament on the line, like, I mean, that stands out as one of those shots. I mean, there's been so many great shots. Hard to pick one of them, but I mean, like a shot like what Scotty hit. I mean, you know, like you were saying, that one straight into the fan with the 3-wood with bunkers everywhere and stuff. I mean, you just can't get much more pure ball flight and shot. And but it's fun to see those. I mean, I've had a few in my career where I feel like are pretty pretty dang good. I mean, but they don't happen all the time, so you definitely remember them.
Yeah, staying off the page level golf shots. All right, let's talk about the CUDA. I know you wrote on Instagram, you said you wish this event was played like 52 times a year or whatever. I know you love the event.
Yeah.
Why is it such a great event? Does it feel like an old school event? Does it feel kind of Corn Ferry Tour Plus? Like, why is it so great? Why do you love the event so much?
I mean, first of all, if you've been to Tahoe, I mean, that speaks for itself. It's literally like the best place in the world to be. It's high desert. I mean, you're getting just like the pine tree smell. It's like 50 degrees in the morning, the crisp air. And then it warms up to like 90, 95, no humidity. It's just, I mean, it's just one of the more fun events of the year. It feels like a vacation week. There's not many weeks like the British Open, the Open Championship would not feel like a vacation week. That's a work week like that.
Not last week. Not last week for sure.
Or the Scottish. I mean, those are just, they're grinds. Like you're packing all the rain gear. It's just, you just still can't believe that's summer over there. You know, when you got 60 degrees, everyone's wearing full on sweaters and all the gear you got. So I mean, the weather is incredible. The golf, I mean, the format is super fun. It's like you're out there just trying to make birdies, you know, everywhere, and bogeys aren't going to hurt you. But I mean, I feel like a lot of the players that go out there, they're like, man, this is honestly has the best vibe of any event on tour. Cause it's just being in Reno and Tahoe, Truckee, I guess, that time of year is just like, it's the best. You got a lake, you got a huge lake there in the mountains. You can see some snow on the mountain tops. It's great.
Is that a credit to the event? Is that a credit to the golf tournament? Is that a credit to you? I know you mentioned the area, the golf course, like where you stay. Is it all kind of a part of it? You know, because like players always compliment the travelers and they always compliment the heritage, right? As these great events, and the tournament does a great job of kind of putting them one step above some of the other events on the PGA Tour. Is this a tournament deal that they do such a great job, or is it, to your point, it's just great weather, great time of year, great area?
I think it's everything. I think the tournament has done a good job of stepping up the accommodations and all that stuff. That, you know, it's a co-sanctioned event with the European Tour now, so there's 156 players, I think. So it's a lot bigger field, and they've added a lot of amenities. I mean, they have like the coolest like pool that the kids can go play at right at the golf course and stuff. But overall, yeah, they just built a new clubhouse at the course, so it's the amenities are awesome, and obviously it's, you know, the competition's not like some of the other events on the tour, but in terms of the family vibe and the feeling of it being kind of like a vacation, it's the best week of the year.
All right, I got to ask about Stableford. You mentioned the format. You go into those weeks, you go into this past week. Is it a different mentality? Do you play any different at all?
Yeah, you feel freer because you're not so worried about making the mistakes. I mean, obviously, if you make a double, it's -3, which hurts you. But it's this weird format where you feel like you always have like a chance to catch up. Like you can make a couple birdies and you're getting 2 points a birdie. and you're thinking, if I make 2 bogeys, that's the same as, I don't know. It's a different mentality. And like I had a couple moments where I wasn't scoring very good one of my rounds. And then all of a sudden, a whole lot of bunker shot for eagle and you make 5 points. And then I birdied the next 2 holes. I think I made I eagled 17, birdied 18 to finish. I think was it my second round or my first round? I don't know. I think my first round. And I got 7 points in 2 holes, and I'm literally looking at my playing partners like, well, I didn't see that coming. I was literally not playing that great. And then out of nowhere, I made 7 points. So it's kind of fun format as a player, because you always have a chance, and you always feel like you have a chance to make a big move, and it's fun for one event a year to have that different mentality.
What's the best non-stroke play format for pros? You've got match play, obviously, that kind of went away this year, but it's always been involved in some capacity to the PGA Tour. You have the team event in New Orleans that's different, 1 week out of the year. And then you got Stableford that's very, very different. Is there a format that you like the best of that outside of stroke play? Because 99% of the tour events and pro events are 72-hole stroke play golf.
I mean, personally, I like Stableford just because, as a golfer, you're always, team golf is hard. It's a different animal, like relying on, someone relying on you and then you relying on someone else. It's not something that we're used to playing and feeling like those emotions. I mean, we did in college a little bit, but the team event, at Zurich is so different because you're playing best ball and you're playing alternate shot, which is, it's tough. It's really hard. And maybe that's why Europeans obviously have better luck in the Ryder Cups, because that's a little more common overseas. I know, like at Muirfield, if you go play there, some of the players played there during the Scottish. Like in the afternoons, I think you have to play 4-ball. Like you can't play your single shot. So people, that's it's very strange,
right,
like to people from America, because that would never cross your mind of like, hey, we're going to play a 4-ball event with this random guy. I'm going to get paired with this random guy, and that's how we're playing. But over there, it's a little bit more normal. I mean, maybe that needs to be brought to the U.S. a little more.
Well, I mean, I think about this. I think about this on golf trips a lot. I'll go on golf trips with my buddies, and my golf trip, as I'm sure you can, assume, is a little bit different than a buddy of mine that's an accountant's golf trip, right? I mean, he's doing this once a year, and he's super jazzed up about going to Pinehurst or somewhere like that and playing some different type of golf at an amazing golf course, a place he's always wanted to play. He wants to post a score. So what ends up happening on golf trips like me and my buddies go is you end up grinding out every round, right? You're playing stroke play every day. And by the end of the trip, your game either is a little tired, or maybe you're a little bit tired, maybe you're a little hungover, whatever the case may be. And I push all the time, let's change up the formatting. The problem there is those guys want to post a score if you're playing Pinehurst number 4, or you're playing Pinehurst number 10, right? They want to post a score from those trips. So I don't know if it's going back to a place again and then saying, all right, now we've been here before, let's change it up. But I mean, you're spot on. You go to Scotland, and so many of those places, the golf courses force you to change things up. And when you change things up, it opens up your mind. As you said, like, are there times last week where you're hitting driver off a tee you wouldn't hit driver on, or you're going for a par 5 you wouldn't typically go for? Like, does that actually happen within the golf tournament?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, there's a couple drivable par 4s out there that you're going to send it up there. And some of the par 5s, like you're taking a more aggressive line if you're trying to go for it. Cause like, hey, if I hit it in the water, whatever, I'm dropping up there and I could make, a 6, and it's not going to hurt me that much. So I think it is help. Like you were saying, like I've been on some, played with some buddies, just random golf, and you get the guy who is really into golf who can beat himself down because he needs to post a score, and you're like, okay, maybe you need to switch it up. Maybe you need to play from the red tees this round or something to where, the love of the game comes back. And I think in Europe I think they have that because they do switch up the format. It's not all about yourself, what you're posting. It's like, you're out here for camaraderie. You're out here to like love, enjoy being on the golf course together, and to be able to switch it up, not just get stuck in this routine of like, I need to post a score. You get in this rut, you kind of forget why you're playing, and to be able to switch up the format, maybe you with friends, maybe you play a Stableford format one day and take some pressure off it. I mean, it does for pros. I could tell, like, people out there who tend to get really mad and frustrated on the golf course. They make a bogey and they're not acting the same way that they normally do in a tournament. And so you can see it just with the pros, how they're acting. And so maybe that's something that needs to translate into just normal golf. I mean,
it would definitely make sense. My big golf trip in January every year, there's no score. Like, you're not ever, it's all match play. It's 2-man scramble one day against another team. We do 2-man best ball one day. We do 4-on-4 scramble. It's a 27-hole facility. So one afternoon we go play a 9-hole 4-on-4 scramble, and they close the tee times on the back end for us, so that nobody's waiting on 8 guys, playing scramble golf. But I introduced this because I was the same thing. I'm like, we're not grinding over 3-footers that don't matter. If you have a 3-footer that matters in the match, I'm totally fine with you taking your time. But we're out here. This is, as you said, this is supposed to be fun. This is supposed to be your hobby. Let's try to enjoy that. All right, so 3M week. And this is actually really interesting. I mean, I know you don't want to be in this position, but in terms of following along for the podcast, this will be very, very interesting for us the next couple of weeks, following you at the 3M and then the Wyndham. You're 74th currently. You had a great finish at the Barracuda. You finished T21 that week, and I know you played well on Sunday. Top 70, get in the playoffs, so you've got to push to do that. How's the game feeling right now? What worked well on Sunday for you at the CUDA? And where's the mentality of going into these 2 weeks, knowing you've got to play? You don't have to play fantastic, but you've got to play solid to get in that top 70.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, last week, the final round was the first time I felt kind of back to normal and comfortable on the course. Probably like a month and a half. I don't know. Something's been off. Ever since Memorial, just haven't really had my normal game. And so
have you been hitting it poorly, short game? Like, what do you feel like has been the thing?
I mean, this may sound weird, but I was playing in a charity thing and my bag fell off and my driver kind of got chipped and stuff. And I haven't been hitting my driver good for the last 3 weeks. I don't know if it's because of that or if it's literally that kind of got in my head, but my spin number's been off. I put a different driver in last week and I started hitting that, I started hitting it pretty good off the tee. And so I don't know. I don't know if it's a driver or not, but the swing felt better. I don't know. The timing just felt like it was a little bit more on. I mean, not to say that that's going to translate to next week. The golf, you never know. I mean, I'm hoping that the momentum carries on. I feel like I got a couple little feelings in my golf swing that I used to feel, and feel like I'm back on track. So yeah, I mean, golf's weird. Every year I've been in different spots going into these next 2 events. Sometimes they're very stress-free. You're just playing to, go up the leaderboard and try to put yourself in a good position for the playoffs. And this year, obviously, I'm outside looking in. I need to play well to get in there. And there's not many times in golf where you are feeling like you can coast. There's always something that you got to play for. I mean, if I was inside the top 70, but 60th, and I'm trying to get in the top 50 to make sure, and then if you're top 50 but not top 30, you're trying to get top 30 to have all those majors. So it's kind of a never-ending treadmill that you're always just, your wheels are spinning. You're always trying to play for something. So it's not unusual for us as professional golfers. There's always you kind of have to. I mean, for me, I kind of have to look at it as I have friends who have had a really tough year and they're outside the top 50, 150. And I feel like I haven't had my best year, and I'm 74, and so I think there's a balancing of trying to stay motivated, but also not looking at, this year as a disappointment and comparing yourself to someone else who's had, even worse year. So trying to balance those two things out in my mind, to try to get me level headed to, to be in a good headspace to play well these next couple of weeks.
Do you have an idea? I mean, I know like setting goals. Some guys do it, some guys kind of avoid it. Is there something
Yeah.
you feel like needs to happen over these 2 weeks for you to get into the 70? Like, do you feel like you've got to finish, if I finish top 25 the next 2 weeks, I get it, or top 10? Like, do you look into that at all, or dive into the points or anything like that? Or is it just, I got to go out and play my game and play well, and if I do that, it'll take care of itself?
I try not to get caught up in that stuff because it's never really helped me. I mean, some guys play really well when they feel like their back's against the wall.
Yeah.
Like a Max Homa type. Like I've noticed when he gets near the lead and he feels the pressure on, like he plays well. I'm not that way. Like I've never been that way. I've always played my best when I felt like the pressure was off a little bit and I felt like it was more of a free riding and things are good. So I have to try to get that mindset in my head. And, as a golfer, there's nothing like being in contention on the PGA Tour. So that's kind of always my goal is like, man, to get in that. I haven't had those moments a ton, in my career. I've had them a handful of times, but those are the times that I remember the most, when I had a chance, the back nine on Sunday. So my long-term overarching goal is just to keep progressing and hopefully have a chance, whether it's these 2 weeks or whether it's in, when the fall comes. That's how I try to think through it.
When your bag fell off the cart, was it a strap issue? Did somebody like prank you? What happened there?
I think user error. I don't know.
That's
Probably. I mean, I don't know. We were kind of an old rickety course, and yeah, but it's something you never want to have happen because you're looking at your driver and you're always questioning, like, did something break here? Is it me? And yeah,
I know. It's like when
once those stops go, you gotta switch it up.
It's out. I couldn't agree with you more. What's funny is I ran through that a couple drivers ago. I was convinced I didn't have enough loft. And the moment you think that, it's like you either gotta adjust the loft on the driver, or you need to put another driver in the bag. Because the moment that those thoughts start, then you start trying to help it, and you're doing all these weird things. It's like you don't just swing freely.
I stuck with my driver for like 4 weeks. I should have switched it out. Should have switched it out earlier. I don't know what I was thinking. Shane.
You're dialed now. How's this golf course? How's this golf course this week? What is it? TPC Twin Cities? Is that the course you're playing this week?
Correct. Yeah.
Yep. How is it?
It's a good course. I've played it a handful of times. I mean, there's some good drama. The last hole is a par 5 it's like a half island green with water. And, I don't know if you remember Cameron Champ won there.
Yes.
He hooked it left and got out and got up and down. But there's been some pretty cool finishes. There's water on quite a few holes. Seems like we have a pretty good field. There's a lot of guys I'm surprised that made the trip over from the Open. The course, can play difficult if it's windy. We get usually during this time of year, you kind of get storms rolling through. It can get a little bit windy, but it is right in front of you. I mean, not a lot of elevation change. You can make a lot of birdies. Par 5s are somewhat reachable. So it did rain pretty good last night. I'm looking outside. That's why I'm recording this morning, because it was supposed to be raining right now. So hopefully the rain stays away and can firm up. The forecast looks pretty good for the rest of the week.
All right, last thing on all this. This is kind of a weird scheduling situation for guys like you, because you have this week, and then do you get 2 weeks off before the Wyndham? Is that right?
Just 1 week.
Is it 1 week? Okay, so you get this week, and then obviously it's the Olympics, so the Wyndham's not that week, so you get the week after. Is that helpful to you? I mean, playing a great final round at the Barracuda, you played solid coming in. You play well this week. You get that break. Like, can you look at this week as I'm kind of taking this week as my final event of the year, knowing I've got one left if I need it, almost kind of got a mulligan event? Like, is that helpful? Would you prefer them back to back, or is the week off okay?
I'm good with it because this is my 4th in a row with one going over to the Scottish. So it's been a lot of traveling.
Been a grind.
It's been a grind. I got my family with me. I had them last week and this week. We got my wife's family's out here. So I'll be ready to go home for a couple days after this stretch. I like 3 in a row. 4 in a row is stretching it just a little bit, but it's just that time of year I kind of have to play. So I'll be happy to have 1 week off and then hopefully 5 in a row, or 4 in a row. We'll see.
Yeah,
Hopefully.
you're like the Caitlin Clark line from the other day when she was like, "I need a break. I'm not doing the 3-point contest.
Yeah.
I'm taking time off." You had some broadcaster questions. I'm interested in what you
Yeah.
got. We're flipping the script here.
Yeah, I was curious because, I saw you posting some pictures from last week. You had your 3 screens. You're watching the Open Championship and doing all that stuff. As a player, I'm watching that tournament and I'm bummed not to be there, right? Because, it's a major. Like that's what I play for. And, as a broadcaster, I was curious because, what you covered the U.S. Open, was it in 17, 18 with Fox?
15 through 19, we had the U.S. Open.
Okay. Yeah. 15 through 19. So you kind of made it on to, those big events. You had a 4 or 5 year run doing those. I'm just curious, like, as a broadcaster, like to compare as a golfer, I know, like, I didn't earn my way into the British Open, so I didn't deserve to be there. Not every profession is like that. It's actually pretty rare to have a pure meritocracy where it's like,
right,
I'm not there. My wife's like, she'll ask me like, "Oh, how do you feel not being there?" I'm like, "Well, I didn't earn it." So I don't feel like, I wish I was there, but like I didn't earn it. So, but like as a broadcaster, you've had moments where we're like, man, like you are on the biggest stage, and then you being home. I mean, I know you've done some stuff at some of the majors this year, but like, how do you feel processing like not being over there covering some of those events? What does it take to like break into that? I know there's a pretty small group of people who are covering the majors and even professional golf. Like, if you could walk me through, like, obviously you doing some of the U.S. Open broadcasting, how you got into that group.
Yep.
And then how to get back into that. Like, what's that world look like?
Yeah, so one thing is, the Opens are NBC broadcast, and I don't do any NBC work, so I worked with them for a couple of years, don't do anything with them anymore. So not like you're not going to be involved in that world simply because, you don't work for the organization. I do some stuff with CBS and ESPN, so thus the reason I'm with the Masters and the PGA broadcast. What's funny is when we started having kids, I looked at what the quote unquote broadcaster lifestyle looked like. And it is a lot of time on the road, as you know. I mean, it's a lot of travel. And my wife and I talked a lot extensively about how many weeks a year is good for me, like to be on the road, because I want to be home and I want to be around the kids. And so like I prefer it on this end most of the time. I mean, I love being a part of the Masters broadcast, and I hope to be a part of that for years to come. Obviously, I love kind of working with that CBS team in general, and they do an amazing job. I think they're the best in the business, and I just get so jazzed to be kind of involved in that crew with like, even some of the digital stuff doing with them as well, kind of doing the On the Range show at the PGA. I'm not bummed not being over there. It's funny, is like if I can work from home and do my job and it still work out, like I'm into it. So there are events that I probably wish I could be at, but going to golf events is not that much fun. It's like, I hate to say it, but it's like, hey, you don't get to see anything. You don't ever get to see anything, even if you're kind of on the grounds. And like for you guys, you're traveling in courtesy car, in through the front gate, parking at the parking lot. For like media people and television people, it's like you're parking in a lot and you're taking a bus and, you're eating this big catered tent food. It's not the most glamorous lifestyle. So to be able to kind of cover it away is not a terrible thing. That being said, I love the events I get to go to. So like, as I said, I mean, Augusta's, I pinch myself every time I get a chance to be there. I covered the Open in 22. And Andrew, I caddied at St. Andrews in 2006 when I got out of college. So kind of full circle moment of, I brought my caddy bib with me to the old course and like held it up. I was doing some live from stuff, right off 17 green and 18 fairway. So that was kind of a pinch me moment. But yeah, like I got into broadcasting. I was a writer and blogger, got into broadcasting in 2014. And I didn't know I wanted to do live sports and live golf until I did it. And when I got that opportunity in 2015, I went, oh, this is way more my style. And so I love doing it. And I like doing the Corn Ferry stuff is super fun. I love being involved with kind of PGA Tour entertainment and doing that. But yeah, we've kind of got like the perfect amount of weeks on the road right now, I feel like, family wise.
Yeah. I mean, how political is it like to get in to be one of those like top broadcasters? Is it pure based on like performance, or is there a lot of like schmoozing up to certain people? I'm curious because I do have like a lot of friends. I got like my friend Andres Gonzalez, Richard Lee.
Yep.
I got these friends who
worked with both of them. Yep.
Professional golf. Now they're trying to like do some weeks of, on the course, on like live on the course and all these different things. And I'm just curious. Like, I don't know how it works in the corporate world, but is it like that? I mean,
I think a lot of jobs come down to a few people. Do they like you? Do they appreciate what you're able to bring to the table? Do they find you talented? So, yeah, it's about making a small group of people that are very important at certain places happy. And if they're into what you're doing and what you're presenting, then you're going to get a lot of opportunity. Now, that being said, talent also is an extremely important part of this. You think about Colt Knost, for instance, right? Colt's a guy that was, had a great amateur career, wins the U.S. Amateur, plays pro golf, has a really, really solid couple of years as a pro golfer. And the moment that wasn't quite working out, he dabbles in TV and obviously shows that he has this ability to talk on the golf course that a lot of people don't feel comfortable doing. Like to me, Colt is like the modern day McCord or Faraday or whatever you want to say. And I get a chance to work the Masters with Colt. And every time I'm around him, I'm impressed by his ability to remember things, present them in a very natural way. He's very, very funny on the broadcast without trying to be funny. That's very important. And then I think about like Smiley, Smiley popping up in TV, giving it a run, giving it a try, and you instantaneously see that this guy's got another level to him that maybe not everybody can bring to the table. So yes, you've got to make the 5 people at every company happy with what you're able to do. But at the end of the day, there's still 3 or 4 people that could take that job if you're not extremely talented. Like somebody like Amanda Balionis, right? Like Amanda Balionis worked at PGA Tour Entertainment, and the moment you saw her in front of a camera, the moment you saw her kind of doing her show, you knew right away that she was extremely good at TV. And so you knew that the sky was the limit for somebody like Amanda, simply because when you work in TV and you know that world, it's like you guys, like you see Xander on the range or you see Scotty on the range, you see him hit a few balls. You're like, dude, that guy's got a level that maybe not a lot of the guys out here have. Like Amanda, every time I watch Amanda do an interview, I'm so impressed by her natural ability to make it feel like 2 people are having a conversation, and it seems very, very easy. It is not that easy to do. There are not a lot of people that can do it well. I'll give another shout out. Like Kira K. Dixon is a person that we went to NBC around the same time. And to see Kira in 2024, how much she has improved, how good she is at TV, how much it feels like she's been doing this her whole life and she hasn't. I'm floored by her skill set and her ability to be so good at that. So I think talent is important. Relationships are important. There are some politics in the background, as there are with every job. And then the other thing is, with TV in particular, I mean, there are like more people that have like walked on the moon. I talk about this to Joel Klatt all the time. There are probably more people that have walked on the moon than have like the high level of sport job. You think about like Tirico at NBC, Nance at CBS, Van Pelt at ESPN with Joe Buck there as well. Ernie at TNT. Like there aren't that many top tier jobs, right? Burkhart at Fox. Maybe what is there? Like 4 or 5
I feel like there's
people.
a reason for that too, because like people like to hear those like familiar voices on the broadcast, right? Like there's something about that. Like you hear the voice and it brings back memories, brings back like this feeling of like you're at the event. Like especially in MLB, like we had Dave Niehaus like announcing forever, and it's like you just expect to hear that voice when you turn it on. And it's just like a soothing thing. So like you said, there's not many people that can can be in those positions. So I feel like the competition for those spots is crazy. I mean,
it is crazy. It is as competitive as it's ever been. And, the one thing is like, Joe Buck, I think, called a World Series when he was 26 or something like that. Those jobs now belong to people that have been in the positions for 15, 20, 30, 40 years, right? All the top tier people have been in those positions for a long time. So it's hard to you've got to wait for a seat like that to open up. But I'm impressed by how many players have taken on the media world and are doing a good job at it, not just in the broadcasting space, like the podcasting space. There are a lot of guys out there that do a great job and a lot of girls out there that do a great job with it and trying to improve and get better. So it's an interesting world. I'll say that. And it's very political.
Yep.
I'll say that as well. But at the end of the day, it's kind of like what you go ahead.
No, I say, and the barriers to entry are so much lower now with podcasting. And shoot, I got a little mobile studio with me here. I mean, it's a lot easier than it used to be. I mean, you probably need to be a lot more sophisticated and put a lot more effort into getting on air. Now it's pretty simple.
Yeah, it's yeah. I mean, you and I, even though we can't figure out technology at all, you and I could do this, week to week and knock it out. But it's crazy. You know what I've found cool about the media space since I've been in it is how many new ways have opened up. Like Gabby wrote an unbelievable piece about the YouTube golf world and how it's blown up over the last year or two. I think today Bryson's dropping that Bryson Trump breaking 50 video that's going to get billions of views on YouTube.
I couldn't believe that. I saw it on my flight yesterday. I was texting my cousin about it, and he said, "Yeah, you can't wait to see Trump's putting." I don't know what that means, but he threw that out there. He said it's pretty entertaining.
Yeah, but I mean, you think, like, I look at these videos now, like, you see ratings for PGA Tour event week to week, and it might be 2 million people or 3 million people. And then you think about what some of these YouTubers are doing online. Do you get into that? Have you gotten into Bob Does Sports or that crew at all and consumed any of that golf?
I haven't really, no, but I do have friends who are like super into it. I mean, I have a friend who kind of encouraged me to do some of the social media stuff, play a whole, just stuff when I'm home. And he loves it. Like he can't get enough. And so it opened my eyes, like, this is a thing, and I think I actually will watch, like the Bryson video. I text Greg, I'm like, this is actually a video I probably will sit down and watch on YouTube.
Of course.
That's, but it's wild what he's able to do. I mean, I think Bryson now travels with his own crew. Greg said he filmed with them in Valderrama. He was I don't know if I should say that, but he might have been the guest on Breaking 50.
Okay.
And so, but yeah, he travels with his own crew. I mean, but why wouldn't he? I mean, he's making a lot of money on YouTube. Greg says he's going to make over $1 million probably with this Donald Trump video on YouTube, which is insane,
Yeah, it's crazy. And I mean, again, it's a credit to, you mentioned kind of the competitiveness of the media space potentially. You got to credit a lot of the YouTube people out there because they've opened up this whole world that didn't exist before. And like I was just doing the comparative parts of like ratings. If 2.5 million people watch the final round of a golf tournament, these YouTube videos are going to get that number and beyond, right? Over time, if not, instantaneously. Like the Grant Phil video I think I watched it last week. It had like 800,000 views in 24 hours, right? So, I mean, these things are going to surpass the ratings of professional golf if they haven't already. And it's just so crazy that there's these new worlds that open up. I love when you do that social stuff, by the way, as well. Like I love when you do some of the whole stuff and you dive into kind of some of the letting people into your world, because that's what fans want. They just want to know what it's like. They just want to see what it looks like for 10 hours or 20 hours or 10 minutes or whatever the case may be. So I would say continue to do that stuff. That's great.
Yep. Trying to embrace it. I mean, it's not easy to, some people are like, they just are social media minded. Like they enjoy doing that. I don't always enjoy it, but I've learned to like that a little bit more the more I do it. Cause people I get like good feedback. Like I go to my home club and people are like, man, I love those playing with the holes. Cause they don't know what it's like out there and they like to just hear my perspective. So that feedback kind of fuels my desire to do it. It's kind of fun when you hear that. Because you don't know. You put something out there in this fake world, this, social media world, and you're like, I don't know if anyone's even watching it. Literally, just maybe my wife. Like, I don't know, or my dad. But then you get some positive feedback from people, and you're like, oh, this is cool. It actually does reach. Like, the reach is insane. The reach is crazy.
I got an idea for you, social media idea. You should do what does a practice round hole look like? So, like, what are you doing in a practice round to prepare you for a golf tournament? Because I've caddied, professionally in a few events, and I don't think people understand maybe on the outside. Some guys go out and play and they just go play golf, but a lot of the guys are, putting, chipping, get an idea to holes. Like, what does that look like? And maybe you just do it around a green. Maybe you just give an idea of like, this is what I'm doing on every green in a practice round. But I don't think I don't think people know the homework that goes into these golf tournaments week to week. The level of homework you guys put in when you get out on a golf course. So
that's a good idea. I'll follow that up. I'm going to head to the course here pretty soon. So
nice. All right. Well, you know what? We'll let you go because I want you to go get dialed for the CUDA. I'm looking forward to the next couple of weeks on the PGA Tour. Excited to see how you can play. Keep that momentum going with the new driver, and we'll check in with you. Let's connect. Let's connect after this week when you go out there and finish top 10. Okay.
Perfect. Looking forward to it. Thanks, Shane.
Thanks, Andrew. Appreciate it, man. Thank you guys for listening. Cool. Appreciate it, and share the pod if you have friends out there you think might like it. Give a share, and shout out to our sponsors, Pinehurst. Thank you so much for the continued support. Thanks for the shirt, by the way. I love this thing. We'll check with you guys next week.